Hey, welcome to Grandpa Sees the Blinking. Please don't take anything Grandpa says as financial advice. Grandpa's not a financial planner. And if you would, please like, share, and subscribe. What the billionaires are doing. How do the billionaires make money in Tesla or any other stock for that matter? So let's get at it here. I'm on the daily chart here, and I'm going to be showing you different points here on this daily chart that are really relevant to this stream in regard to the billionaires. And I'm going to paint you a picture. Okay, as of late here, Ken Griffin, we finally got to find out that in the recent past he bought 102 million shares. 102 million shares, not dollars worth, shares in the recent past. And how do the billionaires go about buying and or selling? When you have 102 million shares, and he's got more than that, by the way, and you want to sell, how do you go about that? So you place an order with the brokerage, a market maker, could be Schwab, and it's very likely, possibly, like when they do big option orders, for instance, they may use upwards of 10 market makers and or brokerages to fill those positions that they want, the price that they want to buy at and or to sell at. And then it's up to the market maker or the brokerage, whether it's Schwab or OTC over the counter or any one of 30 something of them, that will fulfill their dream of their price. Okay. And there's a reason they're billionaires. Okay. So say the billionaire wants 50 or 100 million shares, like this Ken Griffin, and they negotiate the price that they want it for with far below or far above the price point, and they let them know, hey, I want. They commit to this many shares, whether it be long or short, whether they're buying their shares or they're going to sell their shares where they want to sell. And then the market makers, they go in and they put the orders in. And they can't put them in all at once because the market would either skyrocket or crash. So they do it over a period of time. And that's what Grandpa sees in the blinking, far out from the price point. Okay. But the brokerage is they know they know in advance that the buyer is waiting. They have the order. They have the order down below. They have the selling point up above of 70 million shares, 100 million shares, whatever the case is, 200 million shares. Maybe it's multiple billionaires doing the same thing. They got buddies, you know. Billionaires have buddies that are billionaires. So maybe there's several of them. Now, on Friday, they shorted upwards of 70 to 80 million shares above the price point. Just not much above the price point. 359 $58.90 was the predominant one. Some of the shorting took place above that number. Some a dollar below. $358.95, very prevalent number. Okay, and I'm going to show you exactly what they do. Exactly what they do. Oh, Grandpa, you mean they're manipulating this market? Well, gee, I don't know if you call it manipulating, but because the market maker knows that they have a buy down below, they have the sells up above, they can make the move. And when they sell up above, they're taking their profits. And when they buy down below, they're going to get in their position and wait until they take their profits again. In and out. Except they're playing a much bigger game than we are. Okay? Billionaires have some patience. It might take a month. It might take 2 weeks. It might take 3 months. But they're willing to wait. The payday is monstrous. It's just phenomenal. Okay. We play thinking in the dollars. They play thinking in the billions. And the billionaires are coming. Recently, I've seen several billionaires on different business channels, news channels, programs. And the question comes up, where would you be a buyer? Where do you want to buy? Okay, well, as of late, one of them has said, he'd like to be a buyer in the 117 range. $117. He'd jump all over Tesla. Okay. Does he have a deal in with the brokerages to get him $117 a share? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. They've done worse than that to us before. They went from $414.50 to $101.81, and I got it on the screen right here. 101.81. I bought shares at 104 and sold them like a lunatic. When that happened, I made a profit, whoopee-doopie. But Grandpa's getting better at watching Billionaires. And I'm going to go through this with you. So, 102 million shares Ken Griffin buys. Okay, now, by the time we find out, they don't tell you the next day that he did it. Because if they did, the stock would just go to the moon. They couldn't even stop it. Everybody would be on the ship. They tell you a couple months after he's done it. They don't tell you when they sell 100 million shares. They tell you a month or two later. Okay, you're always playing catch up here, folks. So we have to do a little anticipation. But that's where the blinking comes in. I watched them sell 70 million shares plus. It could have been close to 90. And I anticipate that for an hour or so, come Monday, they're going to continue doing just that at the same amount, at the $359.90. But when they stop selling those shorts, okay, for this billionaire up there, the price is going to plummet to where he wants to rebuy. Him and his buddies, the billionaire club, okay? And when they all buy and they all get together and buy, you're going to see it go up through this like it wasn't even there, on its way to 420, 440, we're going to 1,000 anyway. The prognosis is nothing but up for Tesla. And it may come to a point once it gets up around 1,000, it might stagnate for a while, and they might take us down to 700 and rebuy on their way to 5,000. Drop at 1,000, rebuy on their way to 10,000. Drop it a couple thousand to 8,000. Rebuy on their way to 50,000. You got the idea. You got the idea. Clutch Cargo. If there weren't any market makers, there's no game to play. That's true, Clutch. I don't mind them making their mega bucks as long as there are a few crumbs left over for us others. That's exactly true. The market makers are needed. They provide the liquidity for the markets to function, smoothly. And without them, we'd have just absolute chaos. You couldn't even trade. But Grandpa's going to go through here some scenarios where he believes, and I've seen this in the past with the blinking. Grandpa's talking about the blinking he's seen on Friday. It was over a year prior to that I seen blinking of that magnitude. Are they doing it where Grandpa can't see it from time to time? You can bet your life they are. They trade 11 hours a day without us, by the way. And Grandpa don't get to see everything. And I have seen massive blinking after hours at different times. Big blinking. So keep in mind that they shorted on Friday exactly at 359.90 approximately 70 million shares. 70 million shares short. Well, the price is at 354 area. Okay. And everybody in the world is anticipating this thing to run to the moon. Okay, perfect time. They're going to resist it. But before I get back on that page, I want to show you the past of market makers. So back above this 402.67, which doesn't show up on my screen, we had the high of Tesla at 414.50. And the billionaires go to the brokerages and they say, I want to sell in the 414 area. 100 million shares, 200 million shares, whatever it is, okay? And what happens? And while they're talking to them, they're telling them where they're going to rebuy, okay? And in this case, it's 297.5, 297 area. So they went from 414.50 to 297 area, and they'll do their buying in a $5 range or whatever, $10 range possibly. Down here, $315, or not 300. Let's see, $115 profit. They sell up here, and they rebuy down here. They rebuy $100 plus below. They want to make $100. Give them the $15 range, okay? They want to make $100 bill on their 100 million shares per billionaire that's playing the game. Them and their friends. Then, what do? They go from 297 to 402.67, right here, okay? So you got $400, you got $100 straight up, okay? And they've already set it in stone that they want to sell their shares right here in the $400 area, up $100. They made $100 going down. They sold up here. They rebought. They're selling right here. And what do they do? 402, the next spot is 263. They went for $130 this time, or a little better. Okay. And they dilly-dally back and forth, and they bring us down to the 235 area, 234, right down here. Okay. They rebuy, and they sell up here at 383. Okay. It's another $100 bill or so per share with 100 million shares. It's huge money. So they're up here at 382. They want to sell their shares. They want their profit. They get their profit in this range here, from the 370 to the 385 area. $15 give them, and down they go all the way to 211, 212 area. Okay, I watched them do it. I watched them do it before. I've seen the blinking where they do the massive on our price ladder. I watch them. Watch my previous live stream where I actually show you the blinking taking place, where they're doing 11,000 shares per blink 10 times a minute. Okay. 6,600,000 shares an hour for 5.5 hours straight. They did on Friday in just one area. They had 3 other areas going at the same time in the same area, close by. So we're up here. Okay. The market makers sold all through this area up here. They had so much stuff built up. Took them a while to get it all down here. They got out of everything up here finally. Okay. They started getting out there, and there. So they're all out at the 312, 310 area. And what do? They tell the market makers that they want to rebuy in the 101 or 102 to 115 area. Okay. 312, they're done selling. Okay. When they stop shorting, the market plunges. Why that is, I don't know. Because when they're shorting up above, it goes down. As soon as they stop the shorting, at this number, just like it did on Friday at 4 o'clock, the market goes straight down. And they'll start it up again. But when it quits, and when it quits throughout the day, when that blinking quits, the big blinking I'm talking about, the market drops immediately. Immediately. Why? I don't quite understand it. But it does. How they do what they do, I don't really know. All I know is the billionaires are making money, and it's pre-negotiated with the brokerages. Because they can't just buy all at once, and they can't just sell all at once. They got to do it over a little bit of time. So they go from 312 to 101. It's $210. They took $210. 200. They took 200. Jeff wants to know where I discovered this. Are you talking about the blinking? How I discovered the blinking is when I got my Thinkorswim price ladder here, active trader, and as I'd be scrolling around, a lot of times I'd want to go place a small order far away from the price point, either up or down, in anticipation of a crazy move. Okay, and I wanted to get my order put in case it would go there, because Grandpa's a little crazy. And so I'd be trying to put an order in $30, $40, $20 from the actual price point. And as I would scroll my price ladder, you should be able to hit every number. But if I had it on 5-cent increments, it would, as I would be scrolling through, I'd see a number come up. It would be blinking on this price ladder, and but I couldn't get it to stop on it. It would bounce on either side of it, and so I had a heck of a time with it. And finally, I took and got myself multiple big screens, and I had literally 12 charts showing me $150 on either side of the price point at all times. So I could see where these bad boys were blinking without having to have the computer glitch me over top, which I found very strange that they didn't want me to see it, because it was almost impossible to get it on top of the exact number where they were doing their big blinking type deal. And so I wasn't at all sure what I was seeing with the blinking, and so I called it. Back in those days, it was still TD Ameritrade, and I called them numerous times and talked to different ones. And these airheads, if that don't mean nothing. They don't know. And finally, it was a Sunday afternoon. I'll never forget it. I got an old timer on the phone that had been he'd actually been with TD Ameritrade like 15 years, I guess. Anyway, he extremely knowledgeable. And I talked to him about what I was seeing, the blinking on either side of the actual price point and what it was. And he explained to me, for instance, if you see this one right at the 360 area right here where I got my mouse, a 1 in Tesla represents 100 shares. Every time that disappears, every time it blinks, I call it the blinking. That's, Grandpa's a little crazy. But every time it disappears, another 100 shares were shorted. Okay? It don't matter if the price is $5 below it or $100 below it. Every time that blinks, 100 shares were shorted at that price. Okay? Big blinking, if the number is 10, it's 1,000. It's 1,000 shares per blink. Sometimes they do that 50 times a minute. And what happens if they're shorting up there doing that? The price goes straight up right towards it. That's what it does. And if they only do it for a little while, sometimes it'll pull it through. Okay? But Grandpa's talking a longer range what the real big guys are doing that I've seen in the past. And so this guy explains to me that if it's a 10, it's 1,000. If it's 100, it's 10,000 shares. 10,000 shares every time they blink it, wherever it is, whether they're buying and or whether they're selling. All of you within $2.50 either side of the price point have seen many times where it blinks 100, 110, just briefly, somebody's buying some massive orders at that point, okay? Or maybe they're trying for $3-4. Maybe they're trying for $10. Okay, it's irrelevant to what I'm talking about here. But when they start doing 70 million, 100 million in one spot, you can anticipate the price is going to drop. The last time I seen them do it, it went down $50. It went down $50, and it went down relatively quickly. Let's see, where's 212? I'm going to try find where they did it before for you. Right about here. I think I might have found it. It's possible. Let's see. Here's 212. I think this is the one. So we got 212 right where my mouse is. Okay, what number do we have below? Because they dropped $50. There's 164. And this is a daily, so it's off some. Here's your 157. They went to 158. From 208 is where they actually did it. The last time I seen it. It might be this area right here, which doesn't even look like that much. Okay, keep in mind, I'm not saying I catch all the blinking. I wish I could catch all the blinking. I need to have a computer program catch the blinking for Grandpa. But I caught him on Friday, and I'm going to catch him on Monday because I'm going to be on here at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, and I'm going to stay on until they quit blinking. The second they quit blinking, it's going to dive. It's going to dive so quick, you're going to fall right off the cliff. So they buy at 101 area, 101 to 105, 110. They're buying hundreds of millions of shares. The market makers knew where they already had predetermined where they were going to buy. They have buy orders for down here, waiting, okay? And they already know where they're going next. I'll guarantee it. They went to 217, okay? They went to 217. And 217, they went, and when after they took that dive from where they were doing the shorting back in the past, I got it written in notebooks. I could dig out through my past notebooks and give you exact, but it isn't necessary. So when they never did go to 212 where they were doing the shorting, they stopped $4 shy of it. They went to 208, and they didn't go there. The highest they went during regular hours was 207, and then after hours they went up to 208, and that was the exact high. After hours, don't even show after hours on this daily chart. And then they pulled the plug after hours when nobody was home. And you virtually woke up at 158 within 2 days. They went down, stagnated a little bit, made people think they had hope. got them buying, and they just kept pulling the plug. There's a reason 97% of traders are unsuccessful and they lose their money. It's probably higher than 97%. I think 97% is generous. I think it's way closer to 98%. Of anybody trading in and out, the winners in Tesla or any stock, in my opinion, have a cash account and they just keep their shares. Okay. And I recommend you do that because you're not a billionaire. But buy the dip. Buy the dip. When everybody else at 101 was so scared that it was going to 50, and who wouldn't be terrified? It just dropped over $200. And it did it fast. From here to there is $300. This thing's in a downtrend. $50, $30 is coming. You're scared to death. People were so scared down here, I couldn't even get Grandma to buy a share down here. Speaking of Grandma, I'll tell her story. Okay, Grandma was in on this whole thing right here. Grandma bought the dip. I wonder who advised her to do that. At 210. Where's 210? I'll try to get it on it. It had stagnated a while. Grandma bought what we thought was the dip. There's 210 right there where my mouse is. Anticipating a dip, a bounce. Okay. It had bounced in this area before. Grandma bought right here, 210. Bought long. She's a cash account. This is the exact spot, and that's hilarious. And crazy Grandma, she took the ride all the way to 101. I could not get her to buy a share, and I don't blame her. Grandpa's advice ain't too good. When you're down $110 on your shares in a short period of time. And so then Grandma, she hung in there like, Grandma's never lost a trade. She never loses. She only is a winner. I wish I had her money. She's loaded, that girl. And so what did Grandma do? Well, I'll tell you exactly what Grandma did. She went back up here and she sold out. She actually, it don't even show it on the screen. It goes up to like 218 here. But Grandma sold out at 220.
Radical transformation and how the gospel reaches even the most unlikely people. That and more is coming up.
Am I still on here? Yep, I am. Okay, I X'd that thing out and it started playing and I don't know what all happened. Okay, so Grandma got her, and she sold at the peak that time. She got out up here right at 220 and made her $10 per share. And so but Grandma took $110 ride straight down, and boy, I'll tell you, when your grandpa and grandma is taking a $110 dive, you're not the most popular guy. I was thinking about eating my own shoelaces at one point. So the billionaires, they buy down here. They predetermine it with the market makers. They let them know where they're going to sell. And they're doing the same thing here. Here we are over here. here we are. Here, this up here is our last high top pivot point. 267.20 after hours in the middle of the night. Everybody else thinks this is our top pivot point. Okay? Because they didn't see it happen. Grandpa did. So they think we've already gone above. Oh, we have a higher high. It's looking bullish. It's looking bullish. You're playing against a supercomputer designed to take your money. They want you to believe that they're going to keep running. Everybody in America is bullish. I'm telling you. Okay, clutch cargo goes. That's why roller coasters can be very scary, queasy. You got that right. Okay, let's get back to this because I want to show you just how deceptive they are. If you think this is your last high pivot point right here at 368, what was it? 362.80. 362.80. What number am I on with this dumb thing? See, the daily doesn't give you the real numbers exactly. But it's I'll tell you it's 362.80. But they want you to believe that they made a new higher high. Okay, yeah, Grandma watched her in the kitchen. She says, higher lows, lower highs, higher lows. As deep a voice she can get. But the reality is, our pivot point is really 367.20 on the penny. I watched them do it. In the middle of the night, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, they did it. Okay, there's your number right there. Okay, and everybody in America is anticipating 400, 500 on its way to 1,000. And we're going to see all those and more in our future. But for right now, on Friday, Grandpa got to see what Grandpa's been looking for since I seen it the last time, a year ago. Is it easy to catch the market makers? No, it's not. Am I going to catch them on Monday? You bet your life. It's going to be right there. They'll go right back to the same number on Monday. And they might do it for an hour. They might do it for 2 hours. But when they stop doing it, when they stop blinking, shorting at that number, it will plummet. Will it go? Are they going to be happy with a measly $50? I kind of doubt it. They usually like to, by the time they're done goofing around, they usually like to take 100. You can see it over and over in your past. That brings us to 250. Is it going to be 258 again? Like 257, 258? Very likely, possible. Who knows? We're looking at 250 right here. We'd all like to buy there right now. You're probably going to get to buy there in your near future. And they'll come out with some news deal. In our recent past here, this blue line, 238.38 was one of our low bottom pivot points. Okay. I don't have all the pivot points highlighted. Just some of them. This was the bottom pivot point, 238.38, right on the money. This was the bottom pivot point, 302. This is the top pivot point. At some point in here, 265 right here was a top pivot point. 274 area was the top pivot point at one point in time, going back and forth, okay? as they played the game. But the big move is usually close to that $100, if not more, up to 200. I showed it to you, up to 200. But bare minimum, I really believe we're going to get. But all right, when they did it before and they went to 257, it wasn't very long, and they were right back up to 217 and beyond. They blew through that 212 that they never touched, that they came within $4 of, and they went up to 217 and beyond, and before they got any pullback. Okay, so that's how the billionaires play the game. The billionaires, they have multiple brokerages. They tell them where they want to buy. Here's where I'm willing to buy 100 million shares of Tesla. Here's where I'm willing to sell 100 million shares of Tesla. Ken Griffin just did 102 million shares in your recent past. Now let's speculate where he bought. We got the news 3 to 4 days ago that he did this. He bought 102 million shares. And the news is out. He did it 2-3 months ago, and we just finding out now. Okay, I'm going to go to the monthly chart. It'll make it much easier to anticipate where he bought. Okay, because my understanding is he did it approximately 3 months ago. Each of these candles is 1 month, and it's a buy signal, by the way. Ken Griffin, and I'm not saying he's the one doing the selling up here right now, up here in this area. 359.90 is where they're doing. I can't even get my thing to go on 359.90. There's 359.70. It's just about to the top of that wick, right in here. That's where they were doing their selling 70 million shares. I watched them do it. Plus, with the other ones that were selling in the same area right here, we probably already got real close to that 100 million shares. But let's talk about Ken Griffin. Where did he buy his 102 million shares 3 months ago? Well, we're halfway through this month, approximately. Oh, maybe a little more than halfway. What's the date today? Oh, it's the 23rd. Yeah, we're 3/4 of the way through. We got Thanksgiving coming up here shortly, next week. So 3 months. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Approximately 3 months ago, he did his buying. Well, it looks to Grandpa like the worst case scenario, he bought for 230. Is that, yeah, 232 at the top of the wick. Gee, I don't think that billionaire probably bought there at the top of that wick. And it's a low volume indecision candle, and the bottom of it is 180. 180 on the bottom, 181. So you got a $50 candle. Okay, and it's a small one. So in this $50 range from 230 to 180, he got his shares. Somewhere in here, probably in the middle, right around 210. That's what I figured. I figure he averaged 210. because Jeff was panicking at 212 that the sky was going to fall. And I don't blame him. I remember that. 212, and it was right here at 212, you know. And the billionaire don't care because he already knows he's going to sell his shares up here. So he got in at 210, 212, and he's getting out at just under 360. What's 210 from 360? Anybody know? Grandpa's not very good with numbers. I've told you that before. Jeff, why don't you help Grandpa? What's 360 from 210? He's making $150 per share. If you could make $150 a share and you had 102 million of them, wouldn't you want to sell them? I think so. You want to take some profits. After all, you're a billionaire, and your friends are all billionaires, and you want to buy another yacht, another jet. Yeah, Clutch goes, he might have bought bit by bit over time, not one lump sum. Absolutely. Absolutely. But keep in mind, Clutch, they have multiple exchanges doing this. 10 different exchanges, 10 different market makers, just like they do with options. He would have working, doing them, not just Schwab. Grandpa only looks at Schwab. I'm just a minute little ant. But during this month, during this whole month, this candle from the 170 on the bottom to the 204 on the top, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, because he bought 3 months ago. So from the 230 on the top to the 180 on the bottom, in this candle during this month, he accumulated his shares going long. His 102, he bought 102 million shares during this candle, is what he did. And now, if it is Ken Griffin, he's going to make $150 per share, and he's selling every one of them. Where does Ken Griffin want to rebuy? And I'm just using him for an example. I'm not saying it's actually him doing it. Clutch says multiple exchanges. You got that right. They use multiple exchanges. So he's got Schwab, he's got over-the-counter. There's 30-something of them that he could use, and maybe more. 30 that Grandpa sees on his phone. And or on the computer. So this candle here, this monthly candle here, you got 235 to 362. How much is that? That's the movement in 1 month on this candle alone. Okay, these guys they got patience. He waited 3 months. He's waited 3 months. If it is Ken Griffin, we're just speculating that it may be. I don't care which billionaire is doing it. I watched him do the selling. I watched him do the selling right where my mouse is, the peak of my mouse. That's where they're shorting, 359.90. Watch my previous live stream. You will see it. I'll show you the blinking. Gotta go, Clutch says. Thanks for the education, Professor. I love you, Clutch. Hey, rewatch my previous live streams and let people know about this. I'm anticipating a bare minimum of $50 drop in your near future, maybe $100 before it stops. She could go down 50, back up 30, and then back down, whatever. But whoever it is, whether it's Ken Griffin or his mother-in-law that's got billions, they like to make $100, these guys. Sometimes they only do 50 and then they run again. Uh, but I don't want to take a $50 spill when I can see the blinking. Okay? The blinking is hugely important. I almost gave up on blinking. Because when Schwab bought TD Ameritrade, they changed the way they were doing the blinking. It was way easier with TD Ameritrade, by the way. I had their blinking down to a science. But I got really discouraged when Schwab got it because they started doing it $11 on both sides of it, way more consistently, way harder to see anything happening strange. TD Ameritrade was way more sloppy when it came to blinking. They were way more sloppy. Grandpa had their number. But the blinking with Schwab was a little tougher. Well, they got better computers. Their AI system is way smarter. You can bet your life that AI computer they got running stuff that you're playing against is probably a little bit smarter than Grandpa, by about 1,000,000 times smarter than Grandpa, maybe billions of times smarter than Grandpa. But Grandpa's, I see stuff. I see the blinking. And you can see it too. Tell people about Grandpa once in a while. Grandpa's lonesome. Yeah, we're going to talk later. Grandpa's going to, I'm real thinking strongly about giving away some Tesla shares for Christmas to loved ones. Maybe I love them, maybe I don't. Well, if my little grandbabies in Minnesota are listening to Grandpa, I love all of you. I love you the most, each one of you. I love you more than the other ones, and you know I do. Grandpa, my mom, when I was little, this before my little brother was born, he's got a genius IQ, by the way. I thought it was 182 or something like that, or 282. I think it was only 242. I can't remember the numbers. But he got after me because I was 40 points off on it. I said it one time, and I couldn't remember. He took an IQ test, but I ate lead paint when I was a kid, so I took care of Grandpa. You're listening to a guy that chewed lead paint. I thought it was bubble gum. We were so dirt poor, I can't even tell you. But anyway, getting back to my mother, and I had two little sisters, Robin and Linda, each 2 years young. One was 2 years younger and one was 4 years younger. We came in 2-year increments, us guys, and I was the oldest. And me and my sisters were arguing over who our mama loved the most. Who does our mama love the most? Well, Linda thought that she loved her the most. And Robin was convinced that she loved her the most. And of course, I knew for a fact that she loved me the most. So we all went to Mother, and all three of us, and we demanded that she tell us who she loved the most. Who do you love the most? And Mother, she died when the day Trump was elected. She voted for Trump, and she died the day that he was elected president. 45. The day he was elected, and she went to heaven. But anyway, getting back to Mother. So us kids were were demanding mother. Oh, she tried to get away with telling us she loved us the same, but we weren't having none of that. We each knew that she loved us the most, and we wanted to hear it. And so mother said, okay, and I'll never forget it. You guys go in the other room. I'm going to have you each come one at a time, and we sit on the stairway going to the upstairs, and mother sat there, and so I got to go first because I was the oldest. Then Robin got to go, and then Linda. And I crawled up on mom's lap, and she says, I want you to promise me that you won't tell your sisters what I'm going to tell you. And so I promised, because it'll hurt their feelings. And she said, you know, I love you the most. And I believed her, you know. After all, I am pretty special, you know. So then I was happy as could be, and I ran off outside playing. I know she loves me the most, and that's fine with me. So then Robin, she went, and she sat on mother's lap in the stairway, and Robin was a piece of work, I'll tell you what. I'm getting to that part. So that next Linda comes, and Linda gets up on her lap, and mother does the same thing. I love you the most, but promise you won't tell. Promise. She made Robin promise too. So we all promised we wouldn't tell, and we're all three outside playing. And Robin, she's going na 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 na. Mother loves me the most. Mother loves me the most. I'll never forget it. That little skunk. She could make an ice cream cone last for 2 hours in sweltering heat, and you'd already eaten yours, and she had hers for 45 minutes after you were done, just so she could irritate you with her ice cream cone. That's my sister Robin. I love her. Well, anyway, yeah, losing your mother is a tough deal. Even when you're 97, you know, I've been 97 for 4 years. I'd ask Grandma how old I am, but I don't think she'd tell me anyway. That's the way it is. Hey, we're gonna do one on giving away Tesla shares possibly later today if Jeff gets up to it. He's got company right now. But for sure on Monday morning, I'm going to be on here and we're going to watch the blinking. They're shorting. They're going to pull the plug. I see it coming. If you got a cash account, keep your shares. Don't panic. If you're going to rebuy, they're going to want you to rebuy so they can take your money, and that's what they'll do. People right now they want to buy. They want to buy in this WICK. This big WICK is really a sign of weakness. It's telling us in advance what they're going to do. People are looking to buy at 340. Normally, after what's gone on, you'd just be happy as can be, $15 down from where we're currently at. Oh man, I'm going to buy at 340. Okay. 330. What number is that? 320. On the way down. I'm going to buy. They take it to 300. 302. They take them out of their positions, their margin accounts. They wipe them out. They take all their money. And who buys? The billionaires buy. The billionaires, while you're selling and giving up, the billionaires are buying because they know from 300 comes 415, 420 right here, 420, 500, 1,000, 1,000. I want to say this story again. I've said it before. And this is really why you should give a Tesla share to a loved one, a child. Have them, open them up. You can take $1 or $2 and put in Schwab, and they'll open you up. You can open an account with $2. Put in $5 if you want. I don't care. But you can open them an account with as little as $1 or so and have a cash account. And then, like if my loved ones had one with them, I can then transfer and say, okay, I don't need to know all their information. I just need to know their name. So say little Cynthia, she's a sweetheart. So little Cynthia, I want to give her a Tesla share for Christmas, right? So I just call Schwab and I say, hey, Cynthia blank, blank, blank has an account there. I want to take and give her one of my shares. Take one of my shares on my cash account and put it and give it to her. They'll do it instantly. And she has a share. Simple as that. If they're in the same brokerage with you and I'm with Schwab, that's what you do. I can't put a share from Schwab into Robinhood. I can't put it into whatever one they're with. You know, there's no end to. You got Moo Moo, you got Weibo, you got I can't even think of them all. But if they're with your brokerage, at least Schwab does it. I've transferred a share back and forth to. You can transfer shares from your cash account to your margin account if you want, and vice versa. You can transfer shares. I can put Grandma has a Schwab account. I can take and give Grandma one of my shares for Christmas, and she can give me one for Christmas. But I'm telling you what, until she gives me my share, I'm not going to give her share because I don't trust her. And that's the fact. If I give Grandma her share, she may never give me my share. But if she gives me her share, I might give her my share back. But that's a different story. Yeah. All you little grandbabies back there, scattered around the country, there's 28 of them. I love each of you the most. That's just the way it is. Hey, think about eternity once in a while. Grandpa does. Bye-bye.